Hi, Slingers. Welcome back. This is the first podcast of the new year, and I hope you're having a great 2018 already. How was 2017 for you? Let me know in the comments below. Now, today, I'm actually talking with Joe and Kait Russo. They have a very popular YouTube channel called We're the Russos. You can check that out right here, actually. And I think you're going to enjoy this conversation. Joe and Kait actually live on the road full time. They're RVers. They live in a van and they travel with their husky dog, just kind of going around, getting into adventures all over the country. They're a lot of fun. I've interviewed them before, and I'm really looking forward to hearing what you have to think about what they're doing. Stick around after the interview. I've got several news stories that are going to impact you, particularly if you're in the indie publishing world. Some pretty cool stuff, and a lot of it centers around copyright. There's some really interesting copyright stuff happening. I know that doesn't sound all that exciting, but it does involve Mickey Mouse. So stick around after the interview, and we'll do all that fun housekeeping stuff, and I'll see you on the other side.
It's the Word Slinger Podcast, where story matters. Build your brand, write your book, redefine who you are. It's all about the story here. What's yours? Now, here's the guy who invented pants optional, Kevin Tomlinson, the Word Slinger.
Word Slinger.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Okay. Now, if you've listened to the show for any length of time, you had to have listened to this episode, to the original episode with Kait and Joe Russo. They're from We're the Russos. That's probably right now, it's in at least my top 3 favorite YouTube channels. I'm not going to tell you which slot.
It's okay if we're at the bottom.
But you are, by the way, probably one of the ones that I watch most consistently at this point. Mostly because I know you guys, but also because I still have a very active interest in the whole RV lifestyle and sort of minimizing my life, even though I've got more stuff than ever now. So I went completely the other way from the last time you and I talked. You'll have to forgive me.
That's fine. Yeah, we can see everything in the office behind you. So.
I know. And that's just that's the tip of the iceberg, man. It just gets bigger from here. Okay. But we did, we did live in our RV for some time. I think it was about 6 months total. And then, our scenario changed.
Yep.
But you guys also had a change in scenario. And I really want to dive into that. There's other things we're going to talk about, but initially you guys had an RV pretty much approximate to the one we had. We had our big 38-foot Thor Challenger. You guys had a big full-size motor coach, but now you're in a teeny tiny little van.
Yeah, we're actually sitting in our living room at the moment.
Yeah, for the people on the video side of this, you can kind of get a sense. It's actually, I've seen this van in, not yours specifically, but I've seen this van in life. And as vans go, it actually is one of the sort of shorter, what do you call it? What the Class A? What do you call it? It's not Class A. It's a
Class B.
Yeah,
Class B, and it's one of the shorter ones overall in comparison to some of the others. But it's still a nice size, like plenty of room, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we were in 29 feet in the Class A.
Yeah.
This is just under 21 feet.
Right.
But it's also a lot shorter and a lot less wide.
Yeah. But
With
it's
a lot of space.
Yeah. But okay, what's great about it is you can get it into more places, which is one of the things that Kara and I ran into. Like, I wish we'll talk about this too. You guys published a book recently called Take Risks. I don't want to do your interview for you. This is the danger of knowing the guest so well. Is like, I know this about you and I know this about you. So I'm gonna let you talk for a while.
It's kind of funny you bring that up because every time we meet people, and we've talked a lot, but whenever we meet someone we've never met before, we always say it's like going on a blind date where the other person knows all about you, but you know nothing about them.
Right. That seems awkward, but fun.
It can be interesting. So now we always ask if people want to meet up, if they can send us a picture or tell us about themselves.
Yeah.
The story is we decided we were in the 29-foot Class A.
Right.
and traveling around the country, living in it full time. And we got to a point where we said, we need something smaller. And we didn't know if that meant a smaller Class A,
Right.
whatever it was. And I think when we spoke to you, we were just kind of getting into the midst of like looking for a Class B van.
Right.
And thinking that might work for us, but we weren't sure.
Right.
And the more we looked, the more we started falling in love with them. And this turned out to be the one.
Yeah. And we love it. And like you said, we love the flexibility of just being able to go almost anywhere. We're parking in a parking spot right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Where are you precisely right now? And I want you to tell it the same way you told it just before the call.
So, by the way, if there's any background noise, it's Leo, our dog, running
That's
around.
fine. That's fine. I'm surprised Minnie's not in here right now, actually. So she somehow, by the way, senses Leo every time he's on screen, and she'll start barking. And I'm not even kidding about that. I have no idea how she does it, but she picks up on him. I think some ultra high frequency or something. But anyway, go ahead. Where are you guys hanging out?
So we are currently we're Central Oregon coast.
Okay.
And we're parked right along the beach. And what I was telling Kevin before is there are some signs right in front of where we're parked that say that this is a tsunami zone, expect high tides, do not park here overnight because if you fall asleep, you could die from all the water coming over. And there are sirens here.
Wow.
So they say if the ground is shaking,
Get to
get
higher
out.
ground. Don't wait for the siren.
First of all, I didn't even know that tsunamis were a thing on the West Coast. Like, it never even occurred to me that I don't know why it wouldn't occur to me, but it just never occurred to me that was a thing.
Yeah, it's big here in Oregon. Everywhere we've been along the coast, there's always a tsunami evacuation route.
So there's no real camping along the Oregon coast.
Oh, plenty of camping.
Plenty.
Oh, okay. Just camp at your own risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's I don't know if I could do that. We had a hard enough time just camping out in Kansas, with the hint that there were tornadoes anywhere in the area. Like I spent the whole night worrying. I don't think I would want to wake up washed out to sea. That doesn't sound like something I'd enjoy, but
no,
we almost had that.
You know where the higher ground is.
Yeah.
Right. But that raises really kind of an interesting point though. 'Cause like in a lot of ways, I feel like I was more vulnerable in the big, 38 footer, when it came to storms and that sort of thing. It seems like the van would be a much better environment for weathering a storm. You guys had some hail in one of your videos, I noticed. So, you at least that had to be loud.
Very loud.
I would say, I don't know if a van is better for weathering the storm, but it's definitely better for getting out.
Yeah.
Because there are a couple of times in our Class A where we have the jacks down, the slides out, and it's going to take us a half hour just to get to a point where we can safely drive away.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, we can be fully unpacked in the van and be on the road in 5 minutes.
Wow.
And if we need to, we can drive to a shelter, or we can anywhere a car can go. Our only limitation is how we're 9 feet 5 inches tall, so we can't go into like parking garages.
Right. Yeah, that's when we were looking. We actually had considered getting one of the vans, as you know. I talked to you about it, and there were a lot of every one that we looked at was too long. We had trouble finding one kind of in the same length you guys found, at least in this area. So we didn't know where we were going to park it. So the height thing wasn't even something on my mind yet. But I had that trouble with my truck too. So I guess initially, I guess that's not that uncommon a problem.
No, and it really doesn't hamper our travels whatsoever.
Yeah,
keep it in mind.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're out, you've once or twice at least you've done some parking on the street in neighborhoods or something like that. Have you been bothered yet by anybody run off?
No, not yet. The only time we got kicked out was at the Walmart parking lot.
Yeah, and I did hear. I heard that happened, but what was so they had just recently changed their rules.
Yeah, it was the whole city changed their law.
Yeah, so they passed an ordinance, I think, late last year that no longer permits RV parking unless it's a designated place that allows camping with a camping permit.
Right.
So all the businesses like Walmart, Cracker Barrel, they can't allow overnight parking.
Oh, what a
So
bummer.
we had stayed at the Walmart before without any problem. This time, security came and kicked us out.
Yeah, that's a bummer. And I kind of know why they're doing that. I had heard that was happening in certain parts of the country, but it seems kind of, especially when it's like Cracker Barrel, where they welcome that because it's part of their business. It seems like.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like we said, we've seen the country by going from Cracker Barrel to Cracker Barrel.
Right. Exactly. So, what do you do in a scenario like that when you're not allowed to actually, park overnight anywhere? Did you have to go find an RV park or what?
No, we just start driving around until we can find another place to stay. Or the nice thing about the van is it's comfortable to drive at night.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the big Class A, we did not like driving that when it was dark.
Right.
I'm sure you know that very well.
I'm with you.
So there are definitely times we'll come into a town or something and you get the vibe or you see signs and things like that say no overnight parking, you can't do this, you can't do that. So we'll keep going and find somewhere else that is more friendly and will work for us.
Mm-hmm.
Usually we don't have much of a problem.
No?
Yeah. Okay. You guys should just slap a big plumber logo on the side of the van, and then you can just stealth it everywhere you go.
Yeah, we've talked about doing that.
Yeah, I kind of wonder. I've actually seen people online who do that sort of thing, and they actually trick out the whole van to make it look, make it look like it's a work vehicle, But I don't know how effective that is.
Yeah, we've seen that. Leo is trying to push
Can you
over
get Leo on the show. My ratings would go up. You'll triple my ratings if I can get Leo on the show. I'm almost positive.
He does not like the camera.
Yeah, you've said that before. That's interesting. Like, Minnie doesn't care for the camera either. She doesn't necessarily hide, but she doesn't present herself the way she normally does.
For him, it's, we'll be out. He'll be sitting there looking at Kate and everything. She'll set up the tripod, get ready to take the picture, and he turns around.
Yeah.
We get a lot of butt shots of Leo.
But he's a beautiful dog. For the people who don't follow your show yet, I'm going to encourage everybody to follow the show on YouTube, of course. But why don't you tell us a little about Leo? Because I think that's also interesting. It's like we have a tiny little dog. If we could be comfortable living in a van the size of your van, our dog would have no trouble. It'd be a wonderland for her. But you guys have a big dog.
Yeah, so Leo is a white Siberian husky. At least we think he's mostly husky, and he's about 70 pounds.
Yeah.
He's a dog, and we live with him out of our van. But he has a lot of room. Sometimes I think he has more room than we do.
He gets that whole space under the bed and everything.
He is the only being in this van that gets their own space.
Right.
So the way our van works is the back of the van, it's almost a king size bed. Yeah. But it's on a platform that raises up. And most of the time we leave the platform down because we have no need to, make the bed every night and everything else. Right. But what ends up happening is that whole area underneath has now become his den.
Right.
So bed under there, he goes. That's kind of his escape. It's the only place in the van that's like private.
Yeah.
Right.
But he also spends a lot of time outside. Whenever we're at a campground or we get somewhere, we tie him up outside, and that's where he's happiest.
Right.
You can't get him back in the van.
Yeah, there are a lot of times, like right before the interview, I had to, get him in with treats because he's like, I just want to sit outside the entire time.
Right. And that, by the way, brings up a good point. Is one of the things that is making this work for you guys seems to be that you're concentrating more on being outside the van. Like, it's not about lounging in your, mobile living room. It's about having the world's biggest front yard, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's that saying, you don't live in your van, you live out of your van.
Right.
And it's very true.
Yeah, I like that. I pushed that idea. Kara did not gel with that idea, unfortunately. So she had a hard enough time adjusting to the luxurious and ample estate of the 38 foot. But who knows? I'm still working on her. So, okay, now
we'll have you guys over for dinner one night, and then
we'll do it. And we'll do it. And we already talked about, like, our plan is to eventually, we want to sell the RV and we want to buy, hopefully, like a happier camper, which you guys turned me on to. And, our plan is, to have that. And we talked about, like, hooking it up to your van and just going and, hanging out somewhere. I think that'd be awesome. We'll do competing shows too. We'll do competing live shows when we do it.
I like it.
It's cooperative live shows. There's no competition. So one of the things that I know my listeners are going to be really interested in, you guys this is full time. Like you're full time in this. You don't report back to a house. You don't report back to cubicles somewhere. You're making a living entirely on the road at this point. I know they're going to be interested in that because every author wants to do that, whether they're in an RV or not. So how are you guys supporting your lifestyle right now?
I'll let you talk about that.
That's good, by the way, because Kate and I never get to talk. Joe and I talk all the time.
Uh-huh.
Kate and I never get to talk. So this is our time, Kate.
Well, I think last time we spoke, we already had the website and the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We were earning money through advertising, affiliate programs. But since then, Joe has become an author. He wrote a book, Take Risks, which is coming out October 3rd. We're really excited about that. Right. So that's an added revenue stream for us. But we also started crowdfunding with Patreon, which I know you've started, or you have as well.
I have it. It can be better.
Well, yeah, we launched our Patreon page in October of last year, and it's been slow going. We've had, quite a few people join, quite a few people leave. We're still trying to figure out Patreon and how to make that work for us. Yeah. And I think one of the really exciting things about publishing a book is we have more control over that, and Joe can do it on his own time. Well, figure out the schedule.
You're talking about writing a book now too. She has a few books on the docket that she wants to put together, one of which you were asking about, which is a cookbook.
Excellent. Yeah.
And I think for us, the point, Kate's really touching on is we can do a book, we can write a book from anywhere, we can make a video from anywhere in that. But what we found is the YouTube channel, the website, all the social media and everything behind that takes a lot of time.
Right.
And it's something that has to be done at a very specific time. So, when we're out and about, we're always shooting. And when we sit down and write a book, we can do that at night. We can do that in the morning, whenever we have free time. And I think one of the things that really appeals to us is there are times where we just have to say, we have to leave the cameras at home, because when we go out, we start filming, it's going to be all about filming and less about experiencing the place where we are.
Right.
We're writing, we can set aside time and say, okay, we're going to write until noon. Mm-hmm. And then we can go out, see the town, enjoy it, come back, go back to work.
Right.
So, there's a nice way to disconnect. When you're filming your life, it's really difficult to disconnect from that.
Yeah. And to have a content schedule, because we publish a video every Wednesday on our YouTube channel.
Right.
And we publish 1 to 2 articles every Monday and Thursday on our website. And to have to maintain that schedule as well, and always having internet data access and all of that can sometimes be challenging.
Yeah.
So to be able to, like Joe said, be out in the middle of nowhere and spend a few hours a day working on a book, and I have to worry about that. It's really nice.
Yeah. And I think for anyone who's interested in being on the road, I think this is a great lifestyle if you want to see everything, get out there and still work at the same time. We have a Verizon Unlimited plan, and that we're pretty much good anywhere. And there are places where we don't have data when we need it. So we have a cell booster, and that helps tremendously. But for the most part, we can go anywhere and work. And I think one of the best things is, like, we're at the beach, even though it's a tsunami zone and we could dive.
But there's no tsunami.
There's no tsunami.
I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for you guys to just eyes go wide and you disappear off the camera and all I hear is cursing as you're running. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
So what I was saying is this, and this can be your office.
Yeah.
If you'd prefer to be out in the desert, you can work from the desert. I started writing the book at Joshua Tree.
Right.
No data signal, nothing. It just, it was one of those things where we were going from the Class A, and this van was on order, so it was there was a 6-month gap between when
about a 5-month transition.
Yeah, 5-month transition, and I decided in that time, I've got this spare time, I need something to do, so I started writing the book.
Yeah,
and was really able to kind of find that time every day to sit down and write.
Yeah.
I think reading your book really lit a fire under Joe and got him.
Good.
Yeah, that first discussion we had, and I think the magic word you told, or magic saying for me was your job is writing, not editing, not doing anything else. You have to write. Right. And I was always getting stuck. You would write I would write a paragraph and then go back and try to edit the whole thing, make it just right. And by that point, the steam was gone.
Right. Yeah.
And then reading your book, 30 Day Author, everything kind of gelled. And as soon as I was done with that, I remember that evening, I finished the book, start typing away, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for the plug. I do appreciate that. But your book is Take Risks, and it's coming out October 3rd, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
I know you guys said that, and I just want to make sure I made it clear to people. But and I read it, and it is excellent. And the quote I gave you guys for it is exactly my sentiment, that I wish before we had started our RV journey, I wish I had been able to read that book, because it's really interesting, because it's sort of a memoir style almost, but it sort of laces in some very useful information about the RV buying process that I could have really used. Lessons that I would have loved to have learned before I spent 6 figures on an RV is what it comes down to. So I'm highly recommending it.
When I started kind of doing an outline, the original book was going to be talking about the first year we spent on the road in the Class A.
Right.
But as I was coming up with the beginning of the book, I realized there are all these great stories we have from when Kait came up with the idea to quit our jobs, sell the house, and hit the road, to the first day we hit the road. And I said, that right there is its own book. Yeah. So this first book is actually part of a series. So that's the first book. Second book is going to be our year on the road into Class A. Third book is most likely going to be that transition time between the Class A and when we got to B. And then fourth book is us in the B.
We're living it.
Yeah, we're currently living it. So this will be a chapter right
now. That's the way it always is, man. One book is like the gateway drug. Now you're a writer, you will be forever. And Kait, you're working on some books of your own. So aside from a cookbook, which I'm excited about, because I think I told Joe in an email yesterday, Kara and I were actually just standing around our kitchen saying, I was telling her about some of the stuff you guys cook, and you guys went vegetarian. I think, Kait, you were always a vegetarian. Is that right?
No, I was a pork lover.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you were the evil influence, but you guys just turned to the dark side all at the same time.
Well, she was the influence, and she's like, you should really do this. And she had me watch all these documentaries and read all this stuff. And I said, okay, fine. And since we started in mid-February.
Yep, February 2017.
Yep. And today we've lost 35 pounds.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that makes a pretty good argument for it. But see, there's going to be those people who are like, well, it's easy for you. You're in a van.
Well, actually, so we didn't get the van till end of April, early May.
Early May. We moved in early May.
Yeah. So we were stuck at my mom's house.
Right.
And I was, I wouldn't say stuck. We were staying at my mom's house because we were technically homeless. And she's making all this delicious food and all this stuff I loved growing up as a kid. So that's one of the reasons we started. I was putting on so much weight at her house. She was making cheesecakes, lasagna, beef stroganoff, all of this stuff. And I had to stop.
Yeah. So you're, Kait, I sidetracked you with food, but you're working on some books of your own.
Yeah. So I have a couple of recipe book ideas that I'm thinking of.
Okay.
And another book that I'm contemplating is more of a story. I grew up in China, I moved here when I was about 10, and really sharing some life experiences and stories of, when I arrived in the United States to like, how did I end up here in a van living with this guy and our giant fluffy white dog. Sort of, but from my, more Chinese American perspective.
Yeah.
And I think so. I'm throwing around that idea.
That to me, that's fascinating because one of the things that you guys are doing that's interesting is as you move around in the world. I mean, you're experiencing really new cultures right here in the U.S. I mean, I've said this before. It's one of the reasons why we wanted to do our RV tour was that there's so many like subcultures in the U.S. that people never think about. And you're bringing a sort of cultural perspective to that now. If you're going to start producing, content along those lines, that's very cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's one of the things we love so much about this lifestyle is experiencing new cities, new places, new cultures, like you said, and really gives you perspective on life.
Right.
Yeah, right. We get to visit a lot of places that you would normally not fly to. If you had 2 weeks of vacation, you might fly to an island or Las Vegas, something like that. But it's fun to go into these little towns, really get that flavor. And a lot of times what we find is those places that are normally missed by other tourists, it's more of a local thing, and you get a very local flavor, and you see how, those people live and all the people that come and visit that area from the surrounding areas. And it gives you a great idea about, what that area is like and that culture.
Right.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay, we talked a little about the YouTube channel. You guys are monetizing that in a couple of different ways now. And I do like, by the way, that and this makes a lot of sense to me. Like the books that you're creating and any other product you create, that's a sort of passive income stream. Whereas, like you said, you had to put a ton of work into doing the YouTube stuff. You guys actually went and did like some training at YouTube. You want to talk about that? I think that's awesome. That may be an everyday thing for you at this point. I don't know. But to me, that was pretty sweet. So I would love to hear like what that experience was like. I watched the videos and I thought it was pretty cool. But you couldn't take your cameras in, right?
No. Well, you can't into the actual training area. Right. So we've been to the Google offices when we were in like San Mateo area and everything. Went to the YouTube offices, but the training itself, YouTube does a great job of helping bring what they call their creators, the people that make videos on YouTube, and helping give them as many resources as they can to make their channel popular and work. So what they do is they kind of have a structured system where, depending on how many subscribers you have, they have different classes for you and things like that. So at our level, I think we went to some classes that are like 10,000 subscribers and above.
Yeah, most of the classes at YouTube Space LA, I think you have to have a minimum of 10,000 subscribers, but they also offer classes for everyone. So anyone who has a YouTube channel can go.
Yeah, and we took a class on audio and how to get the best audio for what we're doing.
Right.
We also did one on live streaming.
Cameras.
So we're trying to do a live stream once a month. And our next live stream is actually about how we make a living on the road. Okay. That'll be at the end of September. So.
I predict that's going to be huge because everyone wants to know. And when is it going to be? End of September?
Yeah, end of September.
Okay.
Well, the last Wednesday in September will be all about how we make a living on the road.
I don't think I'll be able to get this episode live before that happens, but I wish I could. But it'll be recorded, so I can send people to the video itself. You guys should definitely send me a link. I sat in on the last one you guys did, which was...
you asked the question in the last one.
I did ask the question in the last one. And I said some smart alecky stuff, too, which was supposed to get a laugh. But that's really interesting to me because one of the aspects of this show that I want to push sometime in the future is I want to do some live events. I haven't really worked out how I could do a live show without inconveniencing like literally every guest because I talk to people all over the world, so it's tough to do a live show, a live interview show. But doing like a Q&A or something, I was going to work that in. So I'm watching you guys closely to see how you do it.
Hey, like I said, anytime you want to get on the phone and talk about it, we're happy to help.
Yeah, no, and I do appreciate that. And you guys, of course, you're a good source of information all around. And I expect that now that you're moving out in the world, you're kind of starting to encounter other people in that community of developers, content developers. I mean, I know you've met a few folks. Are you learning some things from those guys as well as you move around?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone has something that you can learn, or they know things that you can always pick up and learn. And I think that for us is really important. And I think we've learned a lot of things from people who aren't content creators. Yeah. So people who might watch our stuff and give us feedback, or they're doing their own thing. And some, they might be great in marketing and say, hey, we saw your channel. We think this might be a good idea. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people we've met have helped us tremendously.
Yeah. I was wondering because the indie author community is very, like, we help each other all the time. Mm-hmm. It's very focused on that community aspect. Even though not every indie author is such a wonderful rainbow spewing human being, we all act like we are, at least. So, and I was wondering if the community was kind of like that in the YouTube world.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Looking back at all the classes that we went to at YouTube Space LA, it's very collaborative. Afterwards, we all get together and talk, exchange information, mm-hmm. Share information on how we're doing things differently. Because especially in the YouTube world, I mean, there are people who create content so much hours. There are people who live stream constantly. Right. There are people that do sketch comedy shows. Mm-hmm. I mean, it varies. And it's nice to learn, what other people are doing and how they're able to make their channel work.
Yeah, yeah. I struggled for so long because I want to have a presence on YouTube, but I had a hard time nailing down what I wanted that content to be, because I'm a fiction author. I don't know if I should do something related to my fiction or go a whole other route. Now I've landed on I'm going to do things related to Wordslinger podcast. So I think that's probably the right way to go. So you're a part of that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Kate. I'm sorry.
What I was going to say is, when we started our channel, it was all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you go back to our early videos, we were doing, reviews about dog harnesses, cooking shows,
right.
Cup of Joe, which it was all over the place. And I think we cast a wide net to see what was going to work, and then try to focus things and narrow it down.
Yeah. I will say the biggest thing that has helped us in our channel is having a consistent schedule, mm-hmm. publishing the exact same time every single week.
Right.
And having a focus and a storyline. I think that's what we were missing before, was being all over the place. We were doing RV walkthroughs and all this stuff. Right. There was never a consistent story. And now week to week, you can follow this story. And if you jump in the middle, you're going to want to start from the beginning and say, how did these guys get to where they are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's marketing. That's how I define marketing, is that mm-hmm. development of that ongoing story, and having a sort of narrative that directs everything. And that's what I was missing in my video approach. I don't know why I resisted doing a Wordslinger oriented show for so long. I don't know why. The logistics of it, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so you guys, what's coming up next? I mean, well, actually, here's the thing I wanted to ask you guys from the beginning. Like, what's the end game here? Like, is it, we're going to live like this forever? We're going to live like this for 5 years? I'm sure others have asked this question, but I mean, what are you guys thinking about when you think about the future?
Yeah, so that's probably one of the most popular questions we get is, how long do we plan to do this? What's the goal? And for us, we would like to do it for as long as we want.
Right.
As long as we still enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And right now, we don't see an end in sight. We really enjoy the lifestyle and being able to travel, whether it's in a van or something else. We really enjoy it. Yeah. And the flexibility of working for ourselves has been a game changer. Neither of us want to go back to working for someone else.
Right.
As long as we can work for ourselves, make enough money to sustain our lifestyle and keep going, we'll probably go until we don't want to do it anymore.
And I think the beautiful thing about what we do is we don't make any plans.
Right.
So a lot of people, it's difficult because I know when you and I talked, I think back at the beginning of the year, our original plan was that we were going to come through Texas, and we're hey, we're going to.
I'm still waiting.
Yeah, we're still trying to get down there. And we kind of have an idea of where we're going, but we also realize that tomorrow that could change, and we'll go in a completely different direction. And that just happened to us last week. We were talking about, we're in Oregon now. We were talking about going back into Bend and then over into Idaho, Colorado, Montana, some places like that. But we are now we're going to be doing a meet and greet the first weekend of the Pomona RV show in October.
Okay.
So we're driving back down to Southern California. We're going to do the meet and greet at the Heimer booth. And then we're going to go and, who knows, flip a coin and see which direction we head. Maybe we'll come down to Texas.
Maybe. We're Kara and I are talking about hitting Colorado Springs for a length of time. So we may just pass each other on the road. But you guys can stop in there too. So you're, I completely lost it. I had a whole question queued up in my brain and it went away.
Was it about the RV show?
It might have been, but I did want to ask, like, how many of those things you guys are doing? Like, are you sort of actively participating in that world as well, like conventions and shows and stuff?
We tried to go to the big RV show. So we went last year to the California RV show.
Right.
And before that, we did the Florida Tampa RV show. So it just so happened that, Joe's book is coming out October 3rd. The show is coming up. And it happens to be my birthday around that time. So I thought it would be nice to go to Disneyland or Universal maybe. Right. So we decided, why not? Let's see if we can go to the California RV show. Yeah. And it's something we always keep in the back of our mind, but we don't actively plan anything around it.
Yeah.
So if it makes sense and we're in the general area, we'll go.
And this
go ahead.
This is the first time we're actually doing a meet and greet.
Okay.
So a public appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time we just show up and we'll film different RVs and walkthroughs and talk about the show in general. But this is the first time we have booked time and we're going to be there to meet people.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
And you had said you weren't sure if you were going to be able to take copies of the book. Are you going to do that? I totally would, by the way.
We'll see. I think the biggest writing the book was easy. The difficult part is now I've spent the last, how many days just focused on trying to get ebook formatted to make it look right, because those pictures I put in there and everything else, and I may still take you up on your offer to convert it for me, but it's just like the conversion process and then finding, your picture got shifted to another page, so going back and fixing that and then breaking something else. So I'm trying to get that done right now. And then I'm going to work on the print book formatting.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have enough time to get the proof, go through that.
Yeah.
And then all printed. So we'll see.
Yeah. My promise to help with layout was before you said you were putting pictures in. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Wait, get rid of the
photo. Well, it is difficult though, because first of all, the images typically they take up not just physical space, but also they eat up file size. So they make things kind of tricky all around. So depending on how many pictures you have in there, you might have to go with like low res images for ebook and then high res for print, and it's basically do two different layouts. So
yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Because the other thing is Amazon charges you a delivery fee.
Right.
So, even if I made the pictures a little bit nicer, I get charged on the back end for that. So
yeah.
Another thing to consider.
But everyone wants to see your bucket thrown.
Yeah, my bucket toilet.
That's true. That was one of the first things I'm like, this is something clearly missing from this book, is a picture of this bucket toilet.
And for anyone who's wondering about that, it's there's a chapter in the book about us ripping out the toilet in our brand new 6-figure motorhome and putting in a homemade toilet.
Right.
5-gallon homemade toilet.
Yeah, and all the experiences around that.
I'm not even kidding when I tell you, I'm just not even kidding. Half the time while I was reading, no, 3/4 of the time while I was reading that book, I thought this is exactly what Kara and I either did or talked about doing. Like we were going to take out the toilet and put a composting toilet in there. We were all these things. And I'm like, I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm glad I didn't do that. So that's why I'm saying, like, you could have saved me a lot of heartache and time and hassle and money if I had just had your book in advance. So there you go. There you go. That's the best endorsement I can give any book, by the way.
Thank you.
All right. So we're kind of coming up. I want to wrap up, respect your time, wrap up. Where can anybody online find you guys?
Our website, we'retherussos.com, our YouTube channel, youtube.com/weretherussos, Facebook, We're the Russos, pretty much any social media platform is We're the Russos. So we're pretty easy to find.
Yeah. No apostrophe in the URL, by the way.
No.
Yeah. WERETHERUSSOS.
We're the Russos. We're the Russos. We're Russos. That's what it comes out as.
Yeah, and the cool title of the book that'll be launching October 3rd is Take Risks. Mm-hmm. One couple's journey to quit their jobs and hit the open road. I've been practicing.
Yeah. And it shows. Yeah. It shows, man. Okay. All right. Well, I feel like I didn't get to talk about like half of what I initially wanted to talk about, but there's so much going on with you guys. So congratulations on the lifestyle and on the I know it's not quite as new now, but the new van, all that stuff. It's fairly cool. For everybody listening and everybody watching, you can find links to everything we just talked about in the show notes, of course. Do definitely check out We're the Russos on YouTube. Go back and watch some of that catalog stuff. It's really interesting to kind of watch the progression. And you guys have kind of a whole new style now, which I dig quite a bit. And I'll totally steal at some point. But definitely check all that out. And, of course, anyway, hang out. You guys hang out. Everyone else, you're probably hearing that groovy bridge music. You may dance in place at will. And I'll see you on the other side with updates about the show. Everyone else, we're about to do our end of show, the after show. Man, I completely flubbed it. We're about to do our after show. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you're going to get to tune into that. So see you on the other side, everybody, and take care. Welcome back. You made it to the other side. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Joe and Kait Russo. They're great. They're a blast. I love talking to them. This is I've had them on a couple of times. I've had a lot of conversations with Joe over the years, and I helped with the production of his book, Take Risks. Make sure you check that out. You can find that pretty much anywhere. You can go on Amazon and pick it up for your Kindle if you like to read there. And it's available in print as well. So check out copies of that. You'll find a link to that in the show notes. Now, let's get into some industry news. For the self-publishers in the crowd, some interesting things are happening. Right now, Smashwords is saying it hasn't been hacked, but you might. Smashwords, aka the other ebook aggregator, has sent out an announcement saying that they've noticed several times that there are hackers out there trying to hack into the service using old emails and old accounts and old passwords. Those are the things we use to protect our accounts. So Smashwords says, made it clear. The security team here at Smashwords has detected multiple attempts by cyber criminals attempting to log into Smashwords author accounts using stolen email password combinations. To date, we're aware of 2 authors who were victimized. Working with our payment partner PayPal, we managed to recover the funds for one author earlier today and will continue pressing them to do the same for the other author. The service assured users that they had not been hacked, but they encouraged Smashword users to change their passwords to something secure and strong right away. So, how about you? Does this vulnerability impact you at all? Let me know in the comments below. Could Mickey Mouse become public domain? No, probably not. But Steamboat Willie might become public domain. Sorry for the stumbling there. Steamboat Willie was the first Mickey Mouse cartoon way back, I think, in the 20s. I can't remember. I should have written it down. However, it will become public domain as of 2024. This comes 2 decades after Disney and a few other industry leaders in the entertainment industry lobbied to have copyright extended by 20 years. Even for work that was already created, which was kind of interesting and new, and also a little bit problematic because essentially our intellectual property laws are designed to encourage new creative content. And now we have companies pushing to continue their trademark and copyright on existing content, which means no new content may be created occasionally. Now, this is an interesting story for a few reasons, but mostly I'm kind of curious how you feel about the original extension, about whether or not they're going to extend it further. Oddly, at the moment, no one is pushing any legislation to extend these rights further, meaning properties created in 1923 and beyond will soon start entering the public domain, where artists and writers and filmmakers will start taking this stuff and creating new content from it, repurposing it, bend, fold, mutilate, whatever they need to do. Mostly remixed. You'll start hearing songs from the 20s and beyond being remixed into modern day music, seeing clips from 1920s era films and other content starting to appear in movies and television shows, that sort of thing. What does this mean for everybody? I'm real curious to hear what you have to say, so pop into the comments below. Let me know your opinions on this and whether or not you think this is a good idea or a bad idea. SFWA, SFWA, which is the Science Fiction Writers Association, or Science Fiction Writers of America. I always mix that up. They've joined the Authors Guild and others to speak out about Open Library. Now, if you're familiar with Open Library, you may not be familiar with Open Library. This is a service provided by the Internet Archive. These guys, they're back in the news again, basically. And as author groups speak out about alleged copyright infringement, Internet Archive is coming to the fore. So here's the deal. The service was originally intended to be a sort of virtual library that allowed readers to check out a piece of content, read it, and return it without retaining ownership of that content. Now, if that sounds familiar, there are services out there like Overdrive that do the same thing. The problem with Internet Archive and the Open Library Project is what they're doing is purchasing the content in the form of a paperback book or hardback book, or maybe even purchasing the ebook, and then assuming that gives them license to lend it out to other readers. Now, this is where things get a little murky because technically that could be true. Right now we're in the sort of primordial ooze of that aspect of intellectual property, the whole digital content movement. We're still figuring things out, so there's plenty of opportunity for abuse and plenty of opportunity for things to go wrong. So I'm curious, what do you think about it? Is this just like Overdrive and other library distribution services, or is this actual copyright infringement? Now, the way Overdrive works, they sell a license to a library, and the library then has the ability to loan that book out under that license to one user at a time. The library can buy multiple licenses and therefore loan the book out multiple times, but they must own that license in order for that book to be loaned out. And then the book is returned, and they sort of retain the license again, and they can loan the book out again. Authors generally get paid once per each license sold, and that's it. Now, really, how different is that from what Open Library is doing? So it's a difficult question, and certainly Kat Rambo, who leads SFWA, is very outspoken about it. You might want to check out the article to kind of see their position. I'm really curious to hear what you have to say on the whole topic. So if you want to check out more about these news articles, you can see links to these in the comments below. We'd really love to hear your feedback on what you think of each story. And if you've got something else you'd like to share, some more news and that sort of thing, let me know. I'm actively looking for people to contribute to this sort of thing. So thank you so much for that. I'm glad you stuck around. Now, this episode of The Word Slinger is sponsored in part by Draft to Digital. That would be the primary ebook aggregator I was alluding to earlier. Draft to Digital, I confess, I am their director of marketing. I am quite biased, but they are the greatest way to convert, publish, and distribute your books worldwide with support the whole way. and you get a whole raft of services from Draft to Digital that are absolutely free for you to use. So we only make money when you make money. That's a good plan for everybody. So check it out. drafttodigital.com/wordslinger will get you in there and maybe give me a little bonus as well. KDP Rocket. Take control, get more readers, increase your Kindle rankings with KDP Rocket. You can check this service out if you go to bit.ly/KDPslinger. This service lets you find keywords that could be very useful in fine-tuning your book on Amazon and other ebook distributors, including Draft to Digital. And this will also be helpful for advertising if you want to use this for Google keywords, Facebook keywords, that sort of thing. This is a way to research those and find the terms that are going to get you the most readers for your book. It's a great investment. Go check it out. Bit.ly, that's bit.ly/KDPslinger. Support for the show also comes from you. If you subscribe and share this show, you're helping me out. I really appreciate it. Make sure that you tell your friends about it. Click on the little bell icon that's here on the page, and that will let you know, that'll give you a little notification whenever a new episode goes live. And we can continue to have this little conversation we're having. You can also support the show on Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/KevinTumlinson, you'll find that you can donate a little cash and send some money my way. Every dime I make from Patreon goes into the production and overhead of the show, and it's very much appreciated. It allows me to do cool little things like buy microphones and replace equipment as it fails and that sort of thing, but also to pay for hosting fees, any advertising I may do, all that comes out of that money. So otherwise it comes out of my pocket, and that's fine too. But if you want to help out the show that way, you're welcome to, and I really appreciate it. Pick something up to read. And as a matter of fact, I got an announcement. We'll get to that in a second. But if you go to kevintumlinson.com/books, you can find all the things I've written, and I keep that updated with the latest books, including my newest upcoming release, which is currently on pre-order, The Girl in the Mayan Tomb. Right now, you can pick up the 4th Dan Kotler book, The Girl in the Mayan Tomb, on Amazon exclusively for only $2.99. You can pre-order it now. It releases on January 26th when the price goes up to $4.99, so this is a good time to pick it up. If you haven't checked out any of my other books, you can get the first one for free if you join me on my mailing list. Go to kevintumlinson.com/join-me, and that'll let you download a free copy of the Coila Medallion, the very first Dan Kotler book. So check that out, hop into the series, and I look forward to seeing you there. I hope you will enjoy those. I hope you're enjoying the Wordslinger podcast. I love seeing you here. I love getting comments from you. I love getting the emails. Keep them coming. So thanks so much for tuning in. Say hello to Joe and Kait Russo over on their channel, We're the Russos. Make sure you pick up Joe's book, and I'll see you all next time.
Wordslinger.